Hey everyone, today I want to bring you the top 10 games I played in 2022. I did take a little more time to play some unique titles, so I hope you find something new in this list. At number 10, we have Distant Worlds 2. Some of the things I like most about this game are the automation features. In similar games like Avarice and Endless Space 2 and Galactic Civilizations, you have a lot of information presented to the player, which can be overwhelming, and it can also make you burned out halfway through a playthrough. So one of the best features is the automation of mundane tasks that you don't typically enjoy doing over and over again in games like this. The other thing I really love about this game is the space exploration side of it. When you first start out in this game, your ships are only able to travel very slowly in the starting star system, and as you progress in the research trees and you get the warp drive technology specifically, this game does a really great job showing you how those warp drives and those technologies affect space travel. And it's so satisfying to see your ships travel so much faster and so much farther, even to other star systems. For those of you who love 4X space games like Stellaris or Endless Space 2, I highly recommend this game. Alright, over at number 9 we have Trek to Yomi. Surprisingly, the standout feature for this game was not its combat, and I don't think it was the story either. For me, it was all about the visuals. The art design of this game is just phenomenal. Each scene that you play in this game feels like the set of an Akira Kurosawa film. It is just absolutely gorgeous, and I think it does make up somewhat for the lack of variety in combat and a fairly basic and serviceable story. If you're a fan of samurai films and media, especially those of Kurosawa, this game will appeal to you. At the number 8 spot we have X4 Foundations, Tides of Avarice. I have about 1,000 hours in X4, and this latest DLC makes it even better, with pirate factions, new sectors to explore, and newer and bigger, more powerful capital ships to fight. One of the standout features of X4 as a space sim is that you can fly any ship from small fighters all the way up to the largest capital ships like destroyers and carriers. The Tides of Avarice expansion just lets you do a lot more of what you could already do in the game, and it allows you to properly roleplay as a pirate. If you're a big fan of space sims, you should give this game a shot. Over at number 7 we have Airborne Kingdom. It reminded me a lot of Frostpunk, but without all the stressful situations and dire consequences of your actions. That's not to say the game comes without challenges. As you're building your city, if you build too much on one side, it's going to start to lean, and your population doesn't like that, so they'll get a little upset if the city starts to lean to one side or the other. So you do have to build in a symmetrical fashion so you can balance the weight of the city. If you want a game you can just sit back, relax, chill out, and build a city in the sky, this is a fantastic choice. Over at number 6 we have Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous. This game came out in 2021, but it's had a lot of DLC releases over the course of 2022, so I wanted to put this on the list. If you've ever played the CRPGs Divinity or Divinity Original Sin 1 or 2, you'll kind of have an idea of what you're in for here with Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous. It's a very deep RPG that has a lot of really interesting combat mechanics, interesting characters, beautiful world design and artwork. If you want to play a game that's going to take a long time to finish, especially if you want to 100% it, and you have some time to spare to enjoy the slow burn that this game is, I can't think of a better CRPG to recommend than Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous. In the number 5 spot we have Pentiment. This title comes from one of my heroes in the game dev industry, Josh Sawyer. He's the leading mind behind games like Fallout New Vegas, Alpha Protocol, and Pillars of Eternity. If you want to learn something about the 16th century Bavaria and you want a video game to teach that to you in a fun way that has a good story, beautiful artwork, and of course some of the best writing in games, give Pentiment a shot. At number 4 we have Chained Echoes. Anyone who has loved games like Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy will absolutely adore this game. Between the music, the gorgeous pixel art, and the old-school turn-based JRPG combat, this game will transport you back to those times as a kid when you enjoyed those older JRPGs. Over at number 3 we have Vampire Survivors. If you showed me a picture of this game before I played it and said, hey, this is going to be your number 3 game in 2022 out of your top 10, I would have looked at you and said, I think you're insane. But here we are. It is number 3 in my list for the games of 2022, and let me just say, it's an addiction. This game has a gameplay loop that is absolutely insane. I have never had this much fun with such a simple game. There's not even any buttons to attack enemies. You just walk around the map collecting power-ups. And again, if you described that to me and said, "You're gonna really love this game," I would have just looked at you like you're crazy. And honestly, if you don't want to get addicted to a game and sink hundreds of hours into something like this, I actually would recommend that you avoid this game. It is really that addicting, and it is really that fun to play. In our number 2 spot, we have the game Stray. On the surface, it just kind of looks like a cat game. You play as a cat, you interact with everything in the game world as the cat, but it would be doing the game a disservice to oversimplify it in such a way. And I'm an animal lover. I wouldn't call myself a cat person. But this game is without a doubt the most beautiful game I played in 2022. I even did a short series on this game when I first started the channel, and I was just blown away. Much of the game has a really cool 80s future aesthetic, especially in the robot design. You are a cat navigating through a post-apocalyptic, what to me almost looked like a future Tokyo. It's populated mostly by robots, as humans have died out. And without getting too much into spoilers, this game has a really touching story about humanity and kindness in the face of indifference. The game also has some of the best music and sound effects I've ever heard from an indie studio. That brings us to my number 1 spot, Game of the Year, Elden Ring. Of course, as some of you have probably already guessed, this is the best game I've played the entire year. As it is well deserved, it got Game of the Year spot for the Game Awards, and it's at the top of so many lists for the majority of gaming channels. And even though there was a lot of hype for this game in the beginning right before it came out, I think it still managed to exceed everyone's expectations. From the amazing world building to the incredible open-ended design of its perfected landscapes, highly detailed characters, beautiful artwork, combat animation, and mechanics that were so challenging, but once overcome, gave you this sense of accomplishment that most other games can't match. Many of us will probably come back and play Elden Ring 2, 5, or maybe even 10 years from now, and still really enjoy this game. Elden Ring is a masterpiece, not only for 2022, but for many decades to come. It is truly one of the greatest games ever made. Thank you so much for watching and taking an interest in this small channel. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.